Hi everyone, it's me, Vie. Welcome back to my Patreon, my channel. So we're going to talk about the card of the day. I have a spread here. We're going to talk about energy to start this week, and I think even further a bit late to start this month because it's the start of a new month. It's the start of March. So y'all are getting an extra little treat here. Hopefully this practice will help me to be able to crunch everything down and abbreviate my insights and trying to get them down to not be as long. It's not every video needs to be an hour, but so yeah, let's just start off with the spread. So this card really wanted to come out. Usually spread them out and pick a card and out of the middle of the deck for the card of the day or card of the week, whatever. And I pull the card and out of the middle, but this one I kept seeing it while I was shuffling and it kept wanting to pop out of the deck. And so finally I was just looked at it just screamed at me, but it's the Strength card. And let's just go ahead and share my screen. Just make it a little bit easier on everybody. We're gonna pull those apart. No, it's not what I want. It's this one. So let's move that over here. Just want to be able to see y'all. So this is the chart for GMT midnight, Greenwich Mean Time midnight. So if you're in New York, add 5 hours. If you're in California, or if you're on the East Coast of the United States, add 5 hours. If you're on the West Coast of the United States, add 8 hours. But this is where we are at midnight GMT. So 5 a.m. No, minus 5 hours, sorry, because we're behind. So this is energy that we're starting the week with, minus 5 hours, minus 8 hours. Yeah, sorry, I think that might be confusing. This is pulled for midnight, so yeah, minus 5 hours for the East Coast. That's going to be, it's the math that gets me. It's going to be 24 minus 7 would be 17, which is 5, but that doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. Y'all can figure it out. Sorry, it doesn't really matter, but we get the Strength card in the direct position, and this really, really wanted to come out. So it has a lot. I feel like there's a lot of the sun is rising on the divine feminine here. If you paid attention to the Virgo full moon insights that I gave, it was about the maiden being rebirthed in this time. The maiden is the counterpart to the green man, and the green man is reborn at the equinox, which we know we have a 3-day retreat on the equinox. So go ahead and use your coupon code to sign up for that. You get free general admission for the weekend, but if you want to add on top of that, please feel inclined to. But so yeah, we have 19 days until the green man is reborn on the spring equinox, which is when the sun enters Aries within the Western Hellenic astrological tradition, because we do it by seasons in the West. But I feel like our strength is building up to this point. From now with that Virgo full moon up until the spring equinox, our strength is building. We're finding our footing in this new world, this new life. And boom, when we burst out on the scene and it becomes like tangible, we're really going to see the efforts of everything that we've worked for paying off. So the next thing that I got was this spread. And with the Three of Swords, been getting this card a lot for the past 2 weeks, actually. And I think that makes sense because there is a feeling of heartbreak. There is also, with this Magician in reverse, this feeling of stagnation, this feeling of inability to be able to create at the capacity that you would like to. But I feel like this Three of Swords here is telling us like we were not creating at the capacity that we're actually capable of. We were not maximizing our full potential, and that's why we weren't getting the things that we wanted. If you've been following this practice, my public facing practice, at least since Saturn went into Capricorn 3 years ago, which is when we started this practice in 2018. I have been talking about this nonstop. The fact of the matter is, the less intimate you are with your surroundings, with the world around you, the less vulnerable, the less honest, the more disingenuous you are, the less able you are to manifest the world that you want around you. You cannot create things that can fulfill you if you don't even know what your fulfillment feels like. If you're afraid to experience your fulfillment, if you're afraid to be happy, that is to say, and I'll make myself the example, when I was not living in the fullness of my queer identity, I would never be satisfied with any of the relationships that I was in because I was neglecting an entire part of me, an entire part of my world. I was not going to be able to I was cutting myself off from the vastness of what I am able to experience. And so, no, I wasn't ever able to feel fulfilled. And regardless of if I end up with a cis male or cis man or whatever, regardless of if I end up with this kind of a person, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, now that I'm living in the fullness of who I am, I'm able to attract from all corners of my universe. And that's what it is about being infinite, about being expansive. The universe is constantly expanding. The universe is infinite because it is always changing and rearranging, and we are experiencing new energy at every single moment. We may not feel it, we may not recognize it temporarily at the moment, but that is exactly what is going on. And so this Magician in reverse energy is like, we have been feeling like really confronted by the ways in which we have been unable to manifest, unable to create at the level that we would like to create, unable to step into our power. And that time is coming. That time has ended with the Hanged Man energy. We are now able to vocalize our truths. We're now able to express ourselves. We're now able to get it out of us, and that's really important, is to like be able to get it out of you. And this is a vocalization in the throat chakra, yes, but more than anything, we know that for the past couple of seasons, it has been about the sacral chakra. Now I feel like we're coming into a place where it's like, okay, now I can experience it. Now I know what my truth is. How do I express that unto the world? And it isn't really just about what you say. Yes, like your throat chakra does get blocked when you don't say what you have to say. But as I said, if you're not acting aligned with your intentions, if you're not acting aligned with your foundation, the core of who you are, you're not going to be able to express anything that you want to express, because ultimately it's dishonest. It's not true. It's not real. Actions speak louder than words. You can say all that you want to say, but at the end of the day, the foundation is fraught if you're not living your truth. If you're not acting from your truth, if your behaviors, your actions, are not indicative of what you have inside of you, then it doesn't matter what you say. And you can say all the spells, you can set all the intentions, you can do all the things, you can know all of the grammar, the spelling, you can get it all right. And it's never, ever going to matter, because you're not living in the foundation of who you are. You're not tapped into the universe. You're not going to be able to access that infinite power. Ever. And I cannot stress this enough. people are constantly like, I don't know why, you know, law of attraction, this, that, and the third, that doesn't really work. Well, the thing about it in the Western world is y'all don't do shadow work. And 90% of you people don't want to. Oh, this is a problem in my life, but I'm just going to ignore it because I'm afraid to rock the boat and do what has to be done. Oh, let me just tell you point blank period. You're lazy and you're suffering for it. Don't blame the universe for the things that you don't want to do for yourself. Don't blame other people for the things that you don't want to do for yourself. If you have to set boundaries with other people, which you do, that is part of your responsibility to yourself and to others to show up in your agency, to show up in your truth. If you don't want to do that, that's on you. It's one thing if you set the boundary and people don't respect it, then you have the option to leave. But it's another thing if you just don't even say anything, you don't set the boundary. Let me tell you, I've been this person for my entire life. I was this person until back in 2018, I started realizing how detrimental that was to my life. And it has been a 3-year process. It has been a rigorous process for me to step into my power, my agency, by clearly communicating. That's that throat chakra. That's that Virgo, which is mercurial full moon, right? By me clearly communicating my truth, my needs, my boundaries. And when they're not respected, then that's when somebody's got me effed up. But guess what? I don't have to fight with them. I don't have to disrespect them. I don't have to go around in that unhealthy, toxic narrative, that unhealthy, toxic loop. I can walk away. I can step away. That's a choice. And at a certain point, you have to want to choose yourself. You have to want to choose freedom enough to do it. The consequences don't always have to become dire. Learn to choose yourself earlier on in the process, and you'll save yourself a lot of heartache. 3 of Swords in the direct position. You get the 10 of Wands in the outgoing position, but I get the sense that this is upside down. The world has felt like it was falling in on us because it's been so painful, like facing the reality of our world. And the reality is, it's not just you, it's not just your actions, like your thought patterns come from somewhere, your behaviors come from somewhere. And this is why I keep talking about indoctrination into this colonial world, this colonial society. This is why we define those 5 pillars of colonization, racism and white supremacy, cis heteropatriarchy, aspiritualism, capitalism, and industrialism. This is why we define those, because these are the confines that we have been placed within. And so, yes, our animal mind, that's that ego that y'all keep talking about getting rid of. You'll never be rid of it as long as you are a human. That's a part of the human condition. What you need to do is learn how to transcend it. What you need to do is learn how to live with it and not be mastered by it. Because guess what? It has been sickened. It has been weakened. It is like a caged animal. Sophisticated caged animal. Sophisticated abuse. That's what narcissism is. Living in that primal fear zone and having to control everything around us from this like sociological, like socially informed space. It's not just us, that there are generational curses, you know, like however your family taught you how to be, whoever raised you taught you how to be, however we've been socialized. And then just, yeah, our genetic DNA. Like I didn't grow up with my dad, but I am just like him. I didn't grow up with him. Like he wasn't really around when I was born, but I didn't see him again until from the ages of 4 until right after my 17th birthday. I mean, right after my 17th birthday. So that was 13 years, excuse me. But I'm just like him. And that's genetics. You know, we cannot discount that. That's literally rooted in, that's the fabric of who we are, not just the foundation. It's literally everything we are. So don't be so hard on yourself, because it's hard. Like, I would sit in bed, the thought of having to send, like, to tell people my truth, like send a text message telling somebody how I felt about something, and just fucking crying for hours before having to do it, and then just like hitting send, turning my phone off, throwing it across my room, going to sleep. And it's like, dude, honestly, it's never as bad as we think it's going to be. And even if it is, it's like, once you accept that infinite framework, what difference? Like, yeah, it hurts in the moment, but like ultimately you have your whole life ahead of you, where you can actually like get what you want, instead of continually giving your energy to something that doesn't feed you, or that's never going to fulfill you. You know what I mean? And then there's also the case of like, other people will say that they respect your boundaries and then they won't. That's why I said actions speak louder than words. There is a reckoning happening moving forward. It's not just us who have been experiencing this process with the Three of Swords, Magician in reverse, and Hanged Man in reverse. And not for nothing, we're going to get to this, because at the end we have another major arcana card, but that's 4 major arcana cards. This is big karmic energy. This is big spiritual energy. This is not just like, oh, la-di-da, like everyday shit. Like, this is karmic. This is a big deal. And we're going to be dealing with big deal energy as long as Saturn is at home in Capricorn and now in Aquarius. And if we're speaking sidereally, it hasn't even entered into Aquarius. We're going to be dealing with this big energy. So this energy with the 10 of Wands in reverse moving out, the outgoing energy of this time is like, things are balancing themselves out. Things are righting themselves. And that's not to say like, oh, it's just happening in the universe and suddenly I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be. No, people have to do it. People have to process this energy and express the energy. So if it means that like somebody has to atone for their transgressions, they have to process in their own time this same very painful, uncomfortable energy that we've been dealing with. So it is about having patience. It is about having compassion. It is about having, being able to pause and wait for everything to align itself. And that's not something that we can control. We can't even hardly control ourselves. We can't control other people. We can't control the universe. We have no control over that. So we also do have to lower the stakes. Our joy, our peace, our freedom, our ability to exist in the world and be a contributing, beneficial member of society in our communities. Let's forget about society, even in our communities, is contingent upon our state of spiritual well-being. It cannot be contingent upon this person did this to me and I need them to apologize before I'm happy. This system did this to me and I need it to be corrected before I can experience joy and freedom. No, you have to do that for yourself. If it isn't if it doesn't come from within, it's not going to come from without. That's just the law of reciprocity. So yeah, that's all happening. And this Hermit, oh my God, like another major arcana card. Like, people have been in their metamorphosis period that is like, I feel like this period of now until the spring equinox, and even just like until Venus in Aries in the 21st, like we're having this reset of energy. Because people have been in their cocoon phase. People have been in that dissolved phase, like where the caterpillar dissolves into goo and then is reformed. That has to be so painful. That is not going to be a joyous like process, but it is what it is. And at the end, it comes out as a butterfly, right? Full moon in Libra. I think that the full moon in Libra, okay, and then Easter is the Sunday after the last full moon, right? Yes, it is. Not like, that's not by mistake. It's not by mistake that this rebirth holiday happens, not after, not even at the spring equinox, which you would think in this patriarchal structure they would have it at the spring equinox. No, it happens at the full moon. It happens the Sunday after the full moon in Libra. And if the full moon in Libra, yeah, which is the Sunday, it's Palm Sunday. That's not by mistake whatsoever. That's not an accident. This holiday of rebirth, this holiday of renewal, this holiday celebrating metamorphosis that is led up to with 40 days of penance, that is led up to with 40 days of sacrifice. I gave up donuts. Dude, it's hard. And I'm in LA, so I like really want to eat donuts, but I gave that up. But so let's look at this Hermit card and examine this Hermit card a little bit. We have the moon here. Honestly, I have no idea, but it's a gibbous moon. Or sorry, a crescent moon. No idea if it's waxing or waning. I don't think that really matters so much. All we know is that it's not full. And then we have this star up here, and the Hermit is associated with Aquarian energy. And it came out in the reverse, right? So like, I feel like this is like really, we are touching ground with that Aquarius season energy that we were in, but also ascending to these new heights. And that touching of the ground is us ascending into new heights, because we are able to ascend into our power now in ways like that we haven't been able to, because we have had things blocking us. And frankly, we've been holding on to them, even if we haven't known. Even if they're not things that we actively created, we've been holding on to them, because that's what we do as humans. You got to just accept the human condition for what it is and do your best despite all that. Yeah, and so there's also this energy, and like we're coming to this like weird cycle that happens from the solstice to the equinox, which is all about like the birth of the Christ child, right, within the Christian heterodoxy. And I grew up in this structure, so I can speak to this. But it's really about rebirth, and it's really about us ascending into that God consciousness, that Godhead, that like Brahma, Atman, like energy, ascended master energy, and really grounding those divine, spiritual, like higher vibrational, upper dimensional understandings of how to exist in the world and give life. It's not just about existing and just existing, because what's the point of that? Do what you want, but what's the point? But it is about giving life, being life-giving, and that is what the sun does. And that's why he's the sun. That follows this same Apollo story, that follows this same Amun-Ra story, right? And not for nothing, he studied the mysteries in Egypt. Not for nothing, the Romans and the Greeks got a lot of their information from the Cometians, Kemet, Egypt and Nubia. So yeah, we have the Saturn, we have Jupiter here, we have Virgo here, we have symbol here, we have the sun here, and that's all like this time. We have a lotus here, so we have Jupiter there, the sun, we have we have a lotus here, and that is all about, and honestly, I always take this as a bearded woman. It's about getting right. It's about getting right within. It's about getting right with spirit. It's about getting right with the universe, and resetting, and like, you know, that lotus out of the mud energy, like ascending despite the BS around you, being the light in the darkness. That we talked about that with the Virgo full moon. We've been talking about it. Before I got rid of my Twitter over the summer, I think I did like this long channeling about being the light in the darkness. And I think I have those, I think I downloaded like a spreadsheet with all of those tweets, and I can like post a picture of it maybe, but that's neither here nor there. It's in the reverse position. So what that is saying, especially like as it's under the hanged man, is that it's coming down. It's bringing this like, where before we were stuck, we were stagnated with this hanged man energy. I don't even know if I went over the hanged man in reverse, but where we were stuck and we were stagnated before with this magician in reverse, and like it didn't seem like we could create anything. It's because we've been being clarified from all the shadow, all the obstacles, all of the stuff that's been keeping us from being able to access our fullness, and our infinite nature. That's all draining out of us now. Like we got it. Like it's all happening now. We're in this process where the scales are being reset, everything is being righted, and people are going to be coming out of that phase of the cocoon, and they're going to be different. And so I know for me, this was a lesson that I've been getting, but I don't know for all of you. I hope it resonates. If it doesn't, it's going to resonate. Not wanting to hear what other people who have hurt you have to say for themselves, because it's easier to just be in pain. It's easy because at least we know pain. Then if we like get a little bit too happy, it's like, oh God, like have a little bit too much faith in people, be a little bit too forgiving, and that opens up a space for us to get hurt again. But the reality is we're gonna get hurt regardless. You may as well just enjoy those bright periods while you can. So it's really about like in this time while you're pausing and patiently waiting for these people to come and make their amends to you, don't wait for them. Don't even be focused on that. Don't be concerned about that, because I know that each and every single one of us has we need to make things right with people, places, things, nouns. We have shown up in relationships less than. We need to make things right too. And so it's really about doing what need be done to achieve that. It's really about stepping into that bag and doing like what needs to be done to rectify our transgressions and amend that and atone for that. And fostering a sense of unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness as a byproduct of those things. Within ourselves, and just creating a safe space for that, and preparing, like thinking about how we communicate, thinking about how we can show up better. Like don't be focused on anybody else. That was what that Virgo full moon was about. Don't be focused on anybody else's like side of the street. Focus on your side of the street and get yourself correct, and then step out. Then pop out. Do what you got to do instead of worrying about who's going to come in and make an amends to you. Maybe like just don't worry about what anyone else has. Don't worry about other people's karma. Concern yourself with your own. Stay focused on you. And the more that you do this process of alleviating yourself of that burden, that Saturnian burden, 10 of Wands in reverse, the more that the light will come to you, and you will feel yourself lightening. You will feel yourself just being able to breathe easier. You get the Ace of Cups energy. And that's what I'm talking about, is that being able to breathe easier, being able to flow, being able to exist without being in pain all the time. And then we get the Tower in the reverse position. So we actually have 5 major arcana: Strength, the Magician, the Hanged Man, the Hermit, and the Tower. Yeah, the Tower's in the outgoing position, and it is in the reverse. Things are, yeah, everything is settling into place. Everything is touching ground, and it's great. And it's just, you know, something to really be careful for. Be patient. Oh my goodness, it's like the whole major arcana is popping out here. That's amazing. Patience. Do your due diligence. Do what you have to do to get to where you need to go. And yeah. Every little thing is gonna be all right. So to speak to the energy of the week, we do have this grand Earth trine happening here between the moon in, well, it's not a grand Earth trine anymore, but it was a grand Earth trine, and now it's just a grand trine. The moon was in Virgo, and that was what made it a grand Earth trine. Now it is in Libra in the 10th house. Trining Pluto in the 2nd house in Capricorn, and Mars in Taurus in the 6th house. So we know that Pluto in Capricorn means that we are expunging all of that lower vibrational karma. We're getting rid of that karmic debt. It's being released now. And if you are somebody who is, you know, has this sacred duty of doing shadow work and healing your bloodline and healing the world, then you are then it's going to be extra heavy. So you're going to want to give yourself extra space and just recognize that not everything is about you. Some things are about other people, and some other people have things that they have to atone for. But perhaps your way of doing that is communicating how people atone and bringing people together and helping guide them in how to make right their wrongs. I'm going to specifically speak to our family of European descent here. This does mean like you're figuring out how you show up in your communities in order to do this transmutation work, to do this healing work. It means being an anti-racist, and it means teaching other people of European descent and other people who, like, of privilege, if you have any privilege whatsoever. It's about teaching people who have similar privilege how to leverage that privilege for the benefit of society. It's not about rejecting it. It's about using it to help others. It's about putting your life on the line, frankly, and that sacrifice, which is so Yeshua in nature. And by life, I don't mean, oh, I'm going to go and like sacrifice my body. No, like we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to live like that anymore. That is what the Christ message was about. It's about energy. You don't literally have to like sacrifice a lamb or anything like that anymore. You make a self-sacrifice. For me, it's donuts because I really love them and I want to eat them every day. And it has been hard to like not do that. It could be social media, you know, but in this case, we're talking about your life. Okay, well, if it's connections with people who want to be racist, that's something that you're going to have to give up if you actually want to do the work that you came here to do. If you need to put certain people in their place, that's the work that you have to do. Advocate, be a real ally, be a real advocate. Don't just skate along, acknowledging, but not having any accountability. Because it's just, accountability is not just the acknowledgement, it is the actions, it's the changed action. And that's when you actually show that you want to atone for your transgressions, the transgressions of your ancestors, which are your transgressions as well. Because you are literally them. So that's really important. Be like, just, you know, that's making a trine with Mars in the 6th house in Taurus. So that's saying like, okay, this is what I'm going to change in order to heal, because I'm going to feel better once I do this. This is going to like liberate. This is liberation from the bondage of the self. And that's the idea, that's lowercase self, not uppercase self. That's like low, that's not your higher self. This is how you ascend unto the embrace, the warm, ever-loving embrace of your higher self, is by sacrificing those lower vibrations, those creature comforts that do not serve you and actually don't serve anyone, because they are actually truly destructive and they are diseased, sick ways of being. All of us have them. Oh my God. My like weighted blanket is like making my body sore. It's 25 pounds. But what I know is I don't think that I've been sleeping as deeply as I have ever slept until now. So I don't know. Just that brings us to the moon in the 10th house in Libra. The moon is actually another part of mental cognition. It's another part of our communication that is more Libran in nature. It is more throat chakra in nature. And it is that divine feminine balance, I feel, to Mercury. In terms of communication, because the sacral, you know, the sacral is, Mercury's like fiery and the moon is watery. The sacral and the moon asks us to slow down a little bit, but it is a personal planet, and Mercury is just like, it's the fastest planet. It's the closest to the sun, so it goes around like faster than all of the others. Whereas the moon actually, like, it revolves around the earth, so it's about the earth. But that's you know, our emotional body is it communicates messages to us, it communicates information to us, sensitivity, feelings. You can't communicate if you don't have sensitivities or sensibilities. You just can't. Like, what are you going to communicate? You know, you can't communicate information that you haven't ever processed. So that's, you know, the moon is about processing. And it's in Libra with this trine. And I feel like this is us, like that Libra, 10th house, moon energy is that 10 of Wands energy in reverse of like everything's balancing. And once again, it is the ruler of Cancer, which is the sister sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, which is right here, because this is about karma. How do we get free? Well, we're being given the tools to get free now with this energy. And so it goes Strength, the Magician in reverse, 10 of Wands in the outgoing position, Ace of Cups going down, because we're being empowered here. This whole process has been about empowering us to break out of that cocoon, and things like when that new life that we need to be able to manifest at that level that we want to manifest, and then like everything kind of just touches ground from there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're at. I did say that this would be like about the month of March, and it has been, because this is energy that we're going to be working with for a while. So, you know, charge up whatever you want to charge up in this grand trine energy. I do want to speak to Saturn making a square to Uranus. That's been going on for a while. I want to do a little bit more research with that before I speak to it, but Saturn squaring up with Uranus, Saturn being in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, but also ruled by Saturn. So it's at home. It's pretty empowered there. Uranus doesn't really like being in Taurus, quite frankly, but Saturn's in the third house. It is our house of mental communication and cognition. And Uranus is in the fifth house, which is our expression. So these things are really working together, honestly. Uranus is really about the new guard and Saturn is about the old guard. They're both about structures. They're both about they're both foundational, but Uranus is the one that comes in as like, actually this thing that completely tosses out everything that you thought you knew out the window. Now you have to adjust to this thing. And that is within, because it's in Taurus, it is with our relationships with the temporal world. It is about relationships with other people. It is about relationships with your environment, which people, places, things, all nouns that exist within and outside of ourselves. That's what we're interacting with here, more so with the things that exist outside of ourselves. Seventh house Libra is more about the inner stuff, and how we communicate, but how we experience the stuff is more Taurian. They're both ruled by Venus, which is exalted right now in Pisces in the third house alongside. So we have a third house major stellium and a minor stellium in Aquarius, with this triad here of Mercury, which is kind of at home in the third house. Saturn and Jupiter triad right there. So this is communication that is expansive, explosive, and it is empowered by this trine to the moon that Saturn's making, actually. So this is really upping our communication so that we know that this is why I said we want to focus on our communication channels, like really learning how to be compassionate, really learning how to communicate our truths without being destructive, communicate our truths without being harmful. Okay, somebody hurt us, but like we don't have to carry that. We don't have to continue that cycle of destruction, of pain, because like that's how we heal. That's how we heal the world. That's how we shift the narrative of our experience. And we don't have to be in chaos all the time. We don't have to be in conflict all the time. So that's where we're at, and that's something that many of us have never experienced. That's why it's that Saturn Aquarius energy. And with that Uranus, like, yeah, it's really fucking uncomfortable, because we're coming to see, oh, like if you're feeling a lot of PTSD right now, a lot of old memories surfacing, a lot of like ancestral stuff surfacing in our dreams, especially because it's Pisces season and Neptune is in Pisces, Sun is in Pisces, Venus is in Pisces, making this minor stellium in Pisces, but we also have a minor stellium in the fourth house where the Pisces and the Sun are, Neptune and the Sun are, with Chiron, which is in Aries, but Chiron sidereally is actually in Pisces too. This is about spiritual healing. This is about healing with the collective, and it is very karmic in that way. With that fourth house, like, why do I treat people like this? I don't even like this. I don't like when people do this to me. Oh, that's why. And that's painful, and it's destabilizing, and it's scary. That's stuff that we really haven't wanted to see our whole lives. But Pluto, like I said, is in the second house in Capricorn. All that stuff that we've been hiding from, that has been like foundational to the character that we have been putting on, who we've been expressing. We have Uranus here in the 5th house. We're not expressing that anymore. It's time to live in our truths, and we can only do that by facing the truth. And when we face the truth, when we face that light of the truth, the shadow, the darkness, the mask falls away. It cannot exist. And that's terrifying for those of us, all of us in this paradigm, in this society, who are taught to wear a mask, a public mask, a public facing persona. Oh, that's my brand. How about you keep your brand on yourself? How about you just be yourself and that be your brand? Be the best version of yourself. That's what's on offer here. I love you all truly and deeply. I don't really know what advice I have except have compassion. Choose compassion every time you are presented the opportunity to make that decision. Choose honoring your higher self, which means choosing compassion, which means choosing unconditional love, which means choosing forgiveness. Choose that every single time. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be painful because it's terrifying when we have been indoctrinated into a society of hardness, of manipulation, of exploitation, oppression, subjugation. It's going to be hard AF to turn away from those programmings, but we've already been doing it. And what's going to hurt even more is if you continue doing it, because now you know better. And nothing hurts more than failing yourself and knowing as you're doing it that you're failing yourself, and then having to live the consequences and feel those consequences and feel like I knew better than to do this and I did it anyway. Bless up, family. Don't forget, we have the virtual 3-day retreat for the spring equinox starting on the 19th. Spring equinox is on the 20th. I am super excited. Ticket tiers they're on the Patreon. They're also in the link tree, which is the link in my bio on Instagram. But y'all do get free general admission to that. But there's so much more that you can get. Like, of course, there's just so much more. And I'll talk more about that later, but actually really have to go because I have class later. So in like 15 minutes. Yeah, that's the cosmic tea. We'll see y'all later. Oh, by the way, actually, I do want to point this out to all of you. This week is the 28th to the 7th. So we have Mercury in Aquarius squaring Lilith. We have Mercury in Aquarius trining the North Node, which is powerful ascension energy on the 2nd of March. We have on the 3rd of March, Venus in Pisces, which is exalted, sextiling Uranus in Taurus. We have the 5th of March, 3 cosmic events, which is Mercury conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius, the Sun in Pisces sextiling Lilith, and the Sun in Pisces squaring the North Node. So really want to check in with your boundaries and remember to hold them with compassion. We are stronger in our vulnerability than in our lashing out. And that is more respectable. And you will be able to respect yourself. When you do esteemable acts, your self-esteem rises, right? You'll be able to respect yourself. When you can respect yourself, you can walk through the world with your head high, like not, you can wear your crown. You can be bathed in your divinity, your sovereignty, because you know that you're acting in respect to yourself. Then we have, those are all the transits that we have this week. But do note that next Thursday, we have like this massive energy portal with the sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces that energy ends on the 13th with the new moon in Pisces. And that's just something that I want y'all to be aware of. So I think I probably won't make another video until next Monday. But of course, check my story, check the Patreon, and I'll keep y'all updated on whatever comes up. Yeah, but just be mindful, because this Mercury in Aquarius squaring Lilith and Taurus is just like, that's really those entrenched hills that we want to die on. Ooh, I talked about this in my story yesterday, actually, with this grand trine energy. And this is happening today, Mercury squaring Lilith. Like, with that Mercury and Aquarius energy, it's like, I don't care about that hill that you want to die on. Is it really worth your life? Or can you just sacrifice this creature comfort, this petty little thing, in order to actually live, to actually be in joy, to actually create beauty in your life and live an enriched, fulfilling life? Mercury trining the North Node on the 2nd is saying, yes, you can. If you feel contention or conflict today, tomorrow it will be alleviated with this new information that's going to come in. But do remember, the spiritual life is not just a theory. It's not just stuff that's happening out in the cosmos. It is lived, it is embodied, and we have to be the agents of this energy. We get to choose how this energy is used. Venus Pisces sextiling Uranus, I feel, will really do that communicating. If we really want to change, we stand in that change. Like I said, choose compassion, choose unconditional love, choose forgiveness, choose your higher self, choose to show up as your higher self. And that is going to be communicated, that you are actually committed to that. And things are really going to shift. And so that becomes important for that portal on the 11th and the 5th of March. We have all of those little things going on. And I feel like things are just going to be lightening. One thing that I've been doing when I start having these, I feel myself closing up and I feel myself getting curmudgeony and angry or just resentful or whatever, I just ground myself and pull energy up from the bottoms of my feet to the tops of my feet. But it's not just light. I imagine bubbles and laughter, and I cannot help but smile when that happens, and everything feels lighter. I can stand up straighter. My heart feels less heavy, and I feel more in my crown chakra. So that is just a Neptunian thing that I've been doing lately, and I hope that if that happens to you, maybe try that, and that might help you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. I love you all truly and deeply, and yeah, peace.